Hi everyone, welcome to SmartSoul Labs. Today, we're going to explore something we use every day but rarely stop to think about. How are images captured by our devices? How are they processed and displayed on screens? And how can these images be transferred instantly across the globe? From your smartphone camera to your computer screen, there's an amazing journey happening behind the scenes. In this video, we'll break down this process in a simple and easy to understand way. So let's get started and discover the technology behind digital images. Every digital photograph begins with light. Light reflects from objects in the real world and travels into the camera. The camera lens collects this light and focuses it onto a tiny electronic sensor. Behind the lens is a CMOS image sensor containing millions of tiny light-sensitive locations called photosites. When photons hit the semiconductor, their energy generates electrical charge. More incoming light generally produces more charge. The sensor also uses microscopic color filters. A common arrangement is the Bayer pattern, with red, green, and blue filtered photosites. The accumulated charge is read by the sensor electronics and converted into an analog electrical signal. An analog to digital converter samples that electrical signal and converts it into numerical values represented digitally as bits. For example, the number 173 can be represented as the binary value 1010101. The photograph is data, not program code. The raw sensor measurements are then processed by specialized hardware called an image signal processor. Because each sensor photosite measures only one filtered color, the processor reconstructs the missing color information using neighboring measurements. This is called demosaicing. The processor then performs operations such as white balance and color correction, so that objects appear closer to their natural colors. Modern phones can also combine multiple exposures and use computational photography to recover detail in both bright and dark areas. The processed image can then be encoded into a format such as JPEG or SHAIF. Compression reduces the amount of data needed to store the photograph. The image file is written to flash storage. In NAND flash, electrical charge stored in microscopic memory cells represents the digital information. When you open the photograph later, the operating system reads the file from storage and loads the required data into memory. The compressed image must first be decoded back into pixel information that the graphics system can work with. The CPU is built from enormous numbers of transistors. These transistors form logic circuits that perform calculations and control the software and hardware. The GPU is especially useful for graphics because it can perform similar mathematical operations on huge numbers of pixels in parallel. Before the image reaches the screen, the graphics system combines the photograph with the operating system interface and other visual elements. The final image is represented as pixel values in a frame buffer containing the information needed to drive every pixel on the display. The display controller sends these pixel values to the display driver electronics, synchronized with the screen's refresh timing. In an OLED display, each pixel contains light-emitting subpixels. Electrical current controls how brightly each subpixel emits light. Millions of tiny subpixels work together, each producing a precisely controlled amount of red, green, and blue light. The display repeatedly refreshes the image. At 120 Hz, the system can update the screen up to 120 times every second. At the end of the electronic process, electrical energy is converted back into light. The photons enter your eye, where the lens focuses them onto the retina. Photoreceptors convert the light into neural signals. Those signals travel through the visual system to the brain, where the information is processed and you finally perceive the photograph. So a photograph travels through many forms. Light becomes electrical charge. Electrical charge becomes voltage. Voltage becomes digital numbers. Numbers become stored data. Stored data becomes pixels again. Pixels become electrical signals. And finally those signals become light. That light enters your eyes and becomes the image you see. The complete journey is photons, charge, voltage, bits, data, computation, pixels, photons again, and finally vision. Thank you for watching. Please like, follow SmartSoul Lab for more interesting facts.